Good afternoon, everyone. Episode 10 of So What's Been Happening. Sunday the 25th, the day after the big day. What a big day it was for a lot of Tiger supporters, and sadly a disappointing day for the Cat supporters. Although it's good to be there. Even as a Melbourne supporter, I would have loved to have been there. So sadly, not the day that the Cat supporters would have liked. I'm sure the Tiger supporters would have loved it, but I dare say they're a little bit unsure, but they'll take the back-to-back any way you can get it. So let's get straight into this. Sorry about the technical delay, guys. We're about 20 minutes later than we would normally be. So without further ado, bring up a good mate of mine, Mr. Glenn Curran. How are you, Glenn?
G'day, Az. How are you? As you said, the morning after or the afternoon after. I think
Absolutely.
A lot of people, especially the impartial viewers, supporters, possibly very happy with the evenness of the first half, and I think the side that we all thought would have won with our heads, maybe not our hearts, came to the fore in the second half. Good game of footy to watch.
Yeah, look, you might be right. Look, I was pretty confident on the Cats, to be honest. Behind the scenes, I thought they'd come good and send off Gary in style, and Danger would get his first one away, but sadly didn't happen. Couple of minutes into the game and it all went pear-shaped pretty quickly. And then it was a case of, as per our chat the other night, having the little master on, we got a few little intrigues into what was happening in the world, and whether the little master could pull off his Houdini tricks and get the Cats out of jail again. But it wasn't to be, sadly. So the start of the game was an interesting one, wasn't it? But look, I want to bring up a good mate of mine who couldn't make it the other day and would have loved to have been on the show. He's a mad catter, probably one of the maddest catters I know. Loves his cats. And look, he's going to be a disappointed man, but I'm sure he's always got a smile on his face. We call him the Hurricane. Justin Hurricane Nunn. How are you, Juzzy?
I'm well, thanks, AC. I appreciate you inviting me onto your podcast, mate.
No problem, mate. This is Glenn. Glenn, this is Justin.
G'day, Justin. Nice to meet you.
Glenn, pleased to meet you, mate.
Let me just run through a little reason of why we put this original podcast together, or this chat. And it was all about during this COVID lockdown period, sitting around or being locked in a booth, so to speak, not being able to get out an hour a day. It was kind of prison time for all us Victorians for a while there. They eventually gave us 2 hours, which wasn't much better. But I kind of got sick of Zoom chats and Zoom meetings. Decided going for a walk with Glenn, who doesn't live too far from me. We were chatting just along the lines of, wonder what Macca's doing, and Jono and all that story. So we thought we'd jump on Facebook and just have a chat to whoever jumped on. And we decided to go live one day, and here we are, 10 episodes in. As Glenn always refers to, it was never supposed to go past number 1. But it's great to be able to combine some people together, some stories, a lot of people that don't know each other. And for right now, we've been able to combine the love of football and the love of grand final day. And we'd love to have been in your position, Juzzy, being a Cats man, just to be there. Glenn, obviously being an Essendon man and me being a Demon, as you know, it's a little while before we're going to get there. So just tell us a little bit about the build-up of the day, Juzzy, or the week. How does it feel? It feels very different to the last grand final you're in.
Mate, it doesn't feel anything like a normal grand final for us, to be honest. So traditionally, 2007, 2009, 2011, even other years that your team isn't competing, you've got the breakfast organised, you've got the car thing, in town, the scrambling for tickets, you got the scrambling for, say that you've got a friend of a friend who's chasing, a couple of seats. I don't know. It just, for me, it didn't have that build up at all that it ordinarily would have. Not being able to have over, friends and mates, and I don't know. It was a bit weird. I bought in a heap of frames and put them sort of all around the house to try and create a bit of that feeling. But even still, I must admit, like even the loss, it hasn't really hit me the same way that it would normally. I think on most I'm disappointed that I'm not going to have the game to watch next week, more so than the outcome. I mean, I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of my club. So yeah. So
Absolutely, mate.
yeah,
In
it's sort of
summary,
weird.
how could you not be? I mean,
Yeah.
the Cats were good. The Cats were good this year. They tried their guts out, to be honest, and it was just a shame we couldn't get one done for the little master to send him off in style.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic for the game, you know. But to be honest, mate, they
Just on,
overachieved.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. We'll come back to
Yeah.
that one in a second. But
Yeah.
just talk about your love being a Cats man, not just your love for Junior Gary, but a love for Senior Gary back in the day. It even
Senior Gary.
it even took a special place on a number plate, I believe.
Yep, I've got. I mean, growing up as a kid, you'd go and watch just him. Like I can recall being at the G, and the sound of the crowd would change if the ball even went anywhere near him. Everybody would, be up and about. I mean, an amazing player on the field. But I think that I think his son's probably been a more complete player.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a hotly debated one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of weird. So I say his son's been a more complete player, but if I could only pick one of them going into a match, I'd still pick Senior. So, it's hard to explain.
It's interesting you say that, Justin. I was lucky enough, and being the age I am, just turned 50 earlier this year, seeing a lot of fathers and sons play. Like obviously, Gary Senior, Gary Junior, Ken Fletcher, Dustin Fletcher, Jack Silvani, Steve Silvani, and this the comparisons. Like, I love watching the little master play, but as a supporter, I was lucky enough to go to that game, and it was just a normal Saturday afternoon game at the G when I think Ablett kicked 14 and Salmon kicked 10. And it was just one of the most pure games of footy I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
I think that it was
absolutely.
a different game back then too. The game today is a different game. And as supporters,
sure
because it's on TV, we see plenty of games of it. But I think if we look back to 2008 and 2009 and 2010, Junior, he'd have game after game after game of 42 touches, 45 touches, 4 goals. Like it was just every week, 38 touches, 45 touches. I think that we're quick to, it's 12 years on. So in 2009, his Brownlow year, that was a phenomenal year. So I think that we're spoiled and we're quick to be a critical. But I think Junior in his prime is by far the best player I've seen for consistency over a 3-4 year period.
Well, he got the ball, as you said. He got the ball a lot, and it's great to get it 42 times, but he would use it 39 times excellently.
And he did it at the Gold Coast too. So yeah. I think that we underrate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely a big call heading up to the Gold Coast on not only Gold Coast money but AFL money. Let's be honest. They put some in his pocket for sure.
I have it on good information, as close as the information can come from, that he actually did try and get out of the deal.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's no doubt he's one of those guys that there's no doubt he missed home. If he could have come back to Geelong and never left Geelong, it'd be interesting to chat to ever get to Gary one day and be able to ask him that in retrospect. And I'm sure he's the kind of guy that would never ever say that he'd made the wrong move, because he did such good things for Gold Coast and the AFL, and he's such a great person. But that classic one club player, he did so much for the Gold Coast, and I think he really left a good legacy there. But sadly, so many players left the Gold Coast in amongst that era, like they have done with GWS, and I think that's always going to be the challenge for those two clubs.
You look at the vision last night. Obviously, we talk about sliding door moments in life. Look at the bloke playing up the other end wearing number 19 for the black and yellow, who was a captain of the Gold Coast.
We've all, as you said, Glenn, we've all changed our tune on Big Tom after what he did a couple of weeks ago with that young kid. And I know there's so many players out there that do that, but it was just actually great that the media actually reported that one where he actually went up and took that kid aside and wished him all the best for next year. So I just want to start with how different it looked this year. Obviously, that's all we got to see. It was still a beautiful MCG, mate, but it just wasn't the same for us. So we start with the start of the week. This fair to say, this tearing up a piece of the goal square and taking it to the Gabba. Great idea in retrospect from the AFL, but probably didn't get the happy exposure that they thought it was going to get, and they decided to just dump it in a little spot, a little patch
on the interchange bench.
Honestly looked like a mistake anyway. So I think if you're going to do it, you got to substitute like for like and put it in the goal square. But obviously there may be a concern around safety and all that sort of stuff. But the way they do it these days, I just think it was a bad look. It was a bad look in the COVID period to spend money on that supposed transport to truck the thing up there and the whole shoot and match. There's no doubt plenty of other stuff went up with it. So I don't know. What's your thoughts, guys? Just on that one, Justin.
Did they quarantine the grass for 14 days?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. There would have been a little bit of water in it.
It's just a question. I know it's it's just a question.
It was a great idea, but it didn't seem to get the miles up there or the coverage. I think there's still a bit of an us versus them thing going on interstate. So because they had a great chance to make a thing of it, but don't worry. It'll be back at home next year, I can assure you, at the grand final.
Yeah, they were a little bit bitter, that's for sure.
At night, I dare say too, with 3 million people tuning in, I think the broadcast rights and the money will dictate the outcome.
Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Let's talk about the other thing that I'm yet to see the AFL get it right. Aaron and I,
I know what you're talking about. Let's come back to that one in 2 seconds.
I do too.
In 2 seconds. Actually, no. Let's run with it. Let's run with it now, because I'll come back to the next bit after that.
Sorry, boys, but
just before you do, just let me just before you do, because I've got a couple of picks I've kind of finding along the way for some of this stuff. So, let's go with what we think should. Did they need to do any more than this? Let's be honest.
They were iconic.
Now, obviously, the great man doesn't do it too often now. And in fact, we're lucky enough to have him at the Northern Footy League, which is a local footy league, and he does it there every year. And it's just unbelievable. The question is, who's he going to pass the baton to? There's a good friend of ours, Dave Cosma, who came on the show about 6 weeks ago, and we're going to start up a little campaign to get Big Dave out there doing up there, Kazali. So I'm sure it'll be in his wheelhouse. He'll give it a go. But look, there was a few fatal mistakes, and I don't think we've recovered since Meatloaf. But have a look at, I've obviously seen this one too. The worst entertainment ever. And the classic meme, hold my beer, hold mine too. Mate, the bottom line is who were those guys and what were they doing there? What are we doing here? Is it a free gig these days, or are these guys getting paid?
If someone gave you the opportunity to perform on a national stage with, regardless of the COVID, the amount of people watching, it would go to overseas, it would go everywhere. I don't care if you sing your own song, but don't sing someone else's song and kill it. Because Cher
Okay,
is very
let's start with which one's got killed then.
Well,
In your
I was
thoughts?
never a hand on heart. Cher will be a better singer than I will ever be.
Yep, you got that right.
And I believe in love, but I don't believe in that song ever again. And the guy singing that song, well, my 17-year-old boy, he goes, "What's the guy from Wheatus doing on the stage?" He thought it was the guy singing. He thought he was going to break in a teenage dirtbag at some stage.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit. The whole thing was a little bit Eurovision to me. And I think I saw a comment posted. It was an absolute ripper. A mate of mine put up that we've obviously borrowed the lights and the light show from the 2000 Olympics and just brought it across and forgotten to plug half of it in because it was pretty average, wasn't it, guys? I know they tried. It was our first attempt at a night grand final, and it's not like we haven't had a night game. I mean, we've done some of the absolute beautiful games, Dreamtime, and all those were fantastic. But it was just an
Well, they
epic
had an
fail
opportunity,
right from the start.
AC.
But-
I think they had an opportunity and they missed that opportunity.
Yeah.
Can someone tell me? Sorry, Justin. Can someone tell me the first performer? Now I know there's different ways you perform a song, but I thought the two first songs were more of an oration, like reading a poem or that sort of thing. It didn't seem to be singing to me. Now this is the AFL's biggest day. Let's get the players up. Let's get the crowd up. And this bloke comes out, and I thought I was back in grade 6 and we were listening to a poem get read out.
Yeah, well, look. Someone must have missed the rehearsal. That's all I can say because it probably wouldn't have made the cut if that's the. And not bagging these guys. Look, at the end of the day, they've been paid to perform. They're on an artist's or record company's deal there somewhere, and they're probably making much more money than we are. So good on these kids. But yeah, I just think if that's the state of the play of music, we're starting a battle now. And look, was that not the opportunity for Powderfinger right there? Midnight Oil, Cold Chisel. I know there's plenty of bands, and if anything, I would have thought that maybe we did try, and we tried to negotiate those, but we just couldn't get them. But we've spent that much on the bubble now. I think we really needed to make sure that one hit the mark. And to me, it just didn't. I know they look for a younger audience. I don't even know if the young ones like that, mate. That Shepherd crew, mate. They sung a song from 6 or 7 years ago. Now, I'm not saying they haven't done anything since, but was that all we got? Geronimo, like, give me a break. There's 70 and 80-year-old women walking around Montmorency this morning singing Geronimo, mate. Like, it's just got to go.
At least with Geronimo, it's an upbeat song. Like, I thought Andrew Stockdale, it's an upbeat, exciting song. The drums are going.
Once again, even him, Wolf Mother, and I'm not sure what the deal is, but they put Wolf Mother all over the back and then announced just Andrew Stockdale. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe he hasn't paid the final bit of the name off to own the rights again for Wolf Mother. But, mate, I went to the 2009 NRL Grand Final in Sydney, and Wolf Mother blew the doors or the roof off the place. He was fantastic. Now, they played the same song, for God's sake. And he's done nothing since. It wasn't a tribute band, and I don't know. I'm just devastated. We got so much good Aussie talent, and that's what we kind of rolled out. So I don't know. I think we've got to. Will we ever get it right? That's the question. I mean, Gadinsky, apparently, he's the one that does it all and does the deal. I think Mushroom and their crew have got much better listings than that. So I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get them there. COVID issues. I'm not sure what's gotten on. But,
Justin, I'll ask you, because I've just met you today. While the podcast's been going, we've had some wonderful musical guests on.
Yep.
A couple of local guys, a couple of international, amazing. I'm not a musician. I love listening to all types of music. But that's what I couldn't get. I know you can't travel too much, but there is a bloke, and I know he's old, but blokes, Jimmy, like, I know Powderfinger were asked to answer that question, Aaron. They were asked and said no. But Jimmy Barnes, the Comeback King, Johnny Farnham, Midnight Oil, like, they're all in the country. Tones and I know he's done it before, but I don't understand. I felt sorry for the people performing because they looked like, oh, I'm getting paid for this, but it's, do I really want
look,
to be here?
I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on the
Yeah.
in the entertainment, and we've probably given them too much airtime. But one thing we won't talk about is those two blonks that ran out on the ground. Fair dinkum, what a stupid publicity stunt. And I'm glad they copped an absolute bagging. And hopefully they're not allowed into another grand final because they were terrible. But
Helen
just
D'Amico,
while, yeah, wow, no comment on that one.
I didn't mind Helen, but I was young.
Did you hear what Sam
I think
Pank said
it's,
the other night on their show? Sam Pank said Helen D'Amico was the first naked woman he'd ever seen on television, which is a good call.
You might be right there. You might be right. So what do we think? How do we think the game started, guys? Obviously, it started with a cracker. I just want to play a little bit of video here, just the first couple of highlights of the first quarter here.
Same stakes, it's the same energy. Vlosten's at the back, Dangerfield belted forward, the little master, first touch, handball okay.
He's out cold behind the play here, Vlosten, what happened?
He ran straight to Danger. That was the one where Danger's punched the ball and followed through.
Yeah, wow. Well, Vlosten's going to go off, he's not coming back in the next 20 minutes, that's the rule.
Look at his shoulder, isn't it?
Is it? And Ablett back out on the ground, says, give me a footy, fans rise.
Well, if that didn't get you going again, Juzzy, I'll go here, mate. It's such a sad moment to see Gary retire, but how up and about were you when Gary, when Jesus rose again, mate? How good was Gary when he got the...
It was in line with 2020 AC. It was just typical of the whole year.
Yep. Now, I believe I heard it was a fracture afterwards. Now, if it is, that's pretty serious. I understand he's had shoulder injuries all his life, but I mean that was a ripper, and wasn't a, it just was a hard tackle. It wasn't anything abnormal. He just happened to slip right on it, and pull it right out, so to speak. But geez, how tough was he? Just to have him out there at all must have surely inspired the Cats a bit. But what do you think of Danger's hit first on Vlosten?
No, personally, I think it was just part of the game.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
Especially in real time. It was just purely going for the ball, and the time between him punching the ball away and then his arm going into his face would have been,
split second.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was absolutely split second. Glenn, what do you think?
He gets a week. Because you know what they'll look at? He didn't play another minute of the game.
He either gets 10 weeks or he gets nothing.
No, they will look at, unfortunately, and I think wrongly, they look at the result. They don't look at the biomechanics that Danger was punching the ball. I'm yet to know someone who can punch the ball and then bring your elbow back in the space of milliseconds.
I think that if he doesn't put his arm out, their heads are going to hit. So
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'll be very.
I think he's protecting himself, and there'll be no case to answer. That's what I think.
Yeah. How amazing though! In the space of seconds, two just innocuous contests that would happen 20 times in a game, and Vlosten's a big key for them as a sort of zone-off defender, and Gaz with all the height, not even connected. But as a Cats man, what did you think then? Who's it going to help? Us or them? What did you think, Justin? Do you think the Cats would be advantaged by that initially, or?
No, I thought we started well. So I thought that gap in play might not be good for them. But I was wrong going into half time. I think that the Cats had smashed them. Probably could have been 5 goals up.
Yeah, it was an interesting first quarter, that's for sure. Let's just cross over to the second. We're going to cut through this and then we'll cut back a little bit more.
Playing forward of the footy here. Goes to a strange one-on-one contest with Dangerfield. And so Dangerfield, who missed a set shot, long way out admittedly in the first quarter, has a more difficult one here now. And that's pretty good. That's on target. That's a goal. Dangerfield gets a big one. Really good one-on-one opportunities deep, and he waits for Myers to present. He marks just short of the 50. Myers short here, and this will be an opportunity here for Menegola. Richmond back six, have been upset. No Floston there. Grimes has been quiet. What about the flick on? Selwood to Hawkins. Hawkins will mark. And set shot at goal.
A little must.
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. Have a look at this.
Good kick. Good kick, holding the line. They're going to be hard to catch.
Baker sends it long and deep. Rewalt got under the footy a little. Look at them gang up on Lynch there. If there weren't four, left Martin around the body, high ball. He's got it. What a
Yes. We get to the second quarter and, geez, weren't things looking good for the Cats? They were up and about. Bruce was all over it.
Bruce killed him, though. Commentator's curse.
Yeah, I just had that little twitch just then when I heard it back from Bruce. Oh, geez, Bruce, you don't say that and not rue that day. So, how were you feeling by halftime, Juzzy? How confident were you?
No, I could see late, mate. Late in the second quarter, that last 2 or 3 minutes, the Tigers were coming. And Dane, I thought that Martin didn't need to get a lot of it, but any time he was near it, he created a goal out of nothing. And I was spot on. He didn't need to do much to kick 4 goals. It's a weird one. He's picked up the Norm Smith. He's kicked 4 goals. He's probably been the difference. Yet the guy that played on him, I think he played a really good game. So,
Paul Jasmine?
Yeah, I think he played I think he played really, really well on him, and couldn't have done much more. So, I mean, no doubt. You talk about the third quarter and the fourth quarter, but I just think they were too good. They were too good.
Yeah, look, as we know with the Tigers, they're never done, right? And that's a similar trait that the Cats have got, to be honest. The Cats just grind away, and they've done that all year. But I think
the good sides keep coming.
I discussed with a couple of people. I mean, that's what happens in grand finals. You're never far enough ahead, and surely they weren't thinking going into halftime that was going to be enough. There's never that. It's the classic premiership third quarter coming out then. And I'll tell you what, talk about know how to get it done. I'm just about to bring up someone that we spoke to the other day, and I can tell you he will be cock a hoot at this one. There is no doubt. The story behind that, Justin, I'm not sure if you picked up on our show the other day, but graphic designer from back in the day, put together. He's curates a lot of art projects now and is an absolute superstar. He's opposite to you. He's the most passionate Tigers man I know. So I'll give you the most passionate Cat. Sadly, it wasn't your day yesterday, but I tell you what, it was this boy's day. Eddie, welcome back, mate.
Hey guys, how are you?
G'day, Eddie.
Good,
how you
very
going?
good.
Nice to meet you, Eddie.
Nice to meet you too.
And let's look. We have to start with a big congratulations, Eddie. And I know, as a Tigers man, you were confident, but without being cocky. And that's probably, Justin. You'd say you're a similar space in that respect. But
I was the same, mate. I got a couple of TAB had emailed me and said I could actually cash out a couple of bets that I'd put on the Cats over the last few weeks. They were 12-1 and 10-1 and 9-1, and I just put a lazy couple hundred on them each time, and I thought, no, I'm not going to cash them out because I actually thought we'd get the job done.
Yeah, it was a tough match. Like, definitely went into that halftime break questioning a lot of things. So, it was great to get the job done, and I definitely don't think grand finals are easy to win. So, but you know, when they come and you've waited for as long as most Richmond supporters have we'll take anything we can get.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to the scoreline. I think with up to 6 or 7 minutes to go, when Geelong kicked their last goal, I actually thought the game was pretty brutal.
Yeah, I actually don't think the scoreline, the final scoreline reflected the type of match that it was. I don't think it matters in the end. I think that it's a win or lose scenario. Like it favoured Richmond in the end. Like there's no doubt that Geelong was a brutal start to the whole game.
Yeah, very much so.
Then the twists and turns, even as an impartial supporter, as sitting there with my family watching it, like that the courage of Simpson to take that mark, and the Richmond bloke and Menengola going back, and then even then, I'm thinking 7 minutes to go. I'm thinking if he kicks this, 3 goals in 7 minutes, isn't that? And then that whole sort of thing, and then to kick that magnificent goal that he kicked, I thought, oh, have we got another turn again? So to me, as an impartial, it had it all. Some really great, tough contests, and did the score reflect how tight I think the game was at times? Possibly not. So for me,
I don't think it did.
I think Jack was quiet. I thought Tom Lynch was quiet, and yet they both impacted the games.
Yep.
So the guys that played on these guys all played well.
Yeah, they had moments. Like I think that most of the Richmond team were pretty were even like there were guys that needed to come into the game, but I think that first quarter thing really shook us around a bit, so we had to regroup, I guess. Like
he's a good footballer.
He's
a good footballer.
He's brilliant. Like it definitely would have rattled Richmond at the start. So I think that they're actually quite evenly matched, even though that they play very different styles of games. Like I could see how distressing it is for players when they lose, like Hawkins. Like Hawkins didn't look too good at the end of their game, but it's a game, and there's got to be a winner and loser. And as I said, I'm glad that Richmond won. Like obviously being a Richmond supporter, but like it was a great game.
It is a great game, mate.
As we refer to it as probably the one and only pandemic premiers. You called it, mate. It's right there on that T-shirt. So it's going to be one to put in the catalogue. And as I said to you, or sent you a message pretty much at the end of the game, get ready and get that next T-shirt design, mate, because the story behind that was great. Just fill us in quickly with what years that was again and how that panned out.
The T-shirts that I did.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I did like I'm known for my T-shirt and T-shirt designs. I run a business called T World, and I document T-shirts across the world. And I'm a massive Richmond supporter, always have been. And in 2017, before the finals, not at in the lead up, I decided to do a Richmond T-shirt. And I had a good feeling about it, even though we'd finished 13th the year before, and there's no way we should have won that premiership. But I ended up doing a T-shirt with an artist called George Rose, and I'm a huge 80s fan, so we did Eat 'em Alive, and we did it in George Rose signature style, who's an artist that I represent. And for some reason, I still don't understand why I didn't do it, but in 2018, I never had the opportunity to do it, and it was probably because I was very busy at the time. And in 2019, I regretted it. It kept on stewing on me, so I decided to do it for the lead up to the finals for 2019. And again, it happened before the finals, so my whole thing is that I send all these T-shirts out to all the loyal Richmond people that I know. And I don't charge them. It was for free, and it was great. And it's always great to see the T-shirt being shown on social media and things like that. And this year, I decided to do two T-shirts, one that I'm wearing at the moment, which is the yellow and black one. The reason why I did yellow and black, obviously because of the theme song, but it's actually what Dusty said at the end of his Norm Smith medal win last year. So I thought that was a good nod to him. And then I did Tigerland is Queensland, like for the other one. And down below, which I was worried about, I put Pandemic Premiers and I put the Premiership Cup before the finals had started. So after that first finals, I was a little, have I done it? Have the T-shirts lost its magic? So it was pretty funny. But yeah, I was very happy that they won in the end.
Look, as I said, I love passion for sport, all sport, and I love passion for your footy teams. And obviously, Eddie, I've spoken to you a couple of times on the podcast now. Justin, obviously, just being here today, and Justin showing the rings he's got for Geelong and that. I'm the same. Like, as you can see in my back corner, I'm passionate about Essendon. Not long after I was born, my dad, when I could speak, he said, "Do you want to go to the footy?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be nice. You get good, you're back and fresh." And I said, "Okay." And I did the same with my son. So, look, I think both your passion's fantastic. I think, as much as everybody says it'll be the Asterix and the Premiership, but I give plaudits to the 18 sides who are involved this year. Geelong and the Tigers went hard at each other yesterday, and the Tigers got over the top at the end. I don't have any less respect for Geelong, and I don't have any less respect. I think it was a good hard game of old-fashioned footy, I thought, last night. And as much as
as a Richmond supporter, like I watched Geelong in the last two finals, and they were just scintillating form. Like they were demolishing sides. They weren't just beating sides; they were demolishing sides. Like they tore Brisbane apart, and they made a mockery out of Collingwood. And I think that both those sides are very good sides. Like I thought Collingwood would go a little further, and I thought Brisbane would go further. I think it was Chris Scott that said it must be one of the most evenly placed competitions going around in like ever in AFL. Like I think that the teams are fairly close. Like there's obviously a little bit of a divide between the last teams, but there's pretty close like sides. Like for Collingwood to come from, I think they were 8th, didn't they? That they finished 8th this year. Yeah, so I thought they were in great form. Like they obviously wanted that revenge on West Coast.
Justin, it was a great final that they played.
Justin, can I ask you as a Cats man, and we all watched sport, and when our coach or a player makes a comment, and I know he's explained it away since, do you think the Richmond people would have used that comment that Chris Scott made about Richmond not being as good as Hawthorn? Because as I look now, and I know there's a lot to happen between now and next year's grand final, it's Richmond's to lose again, putting it out there early.
Yeah, I mean, those comments were made last year, is it? Or early in the year?
He made them in about February, March of this year,
Yeah. So what I'd say is I see our Geelong people bagging Chris Scott as well, and I'd say that so people are always going to pick. I think his stats are the greatest coach for win-loss in the history of the game ever. So I think, so the stats are he's not 2 or 3, he's the greatest of all time. So he's number 1, yet we still find faults. I just think that we pick, I mean, are they very, very, very smart guys, and I think they'd all like to go in as underdogs, but still let people know that they can be beaten. And I mean, I think last night's game shows that because the game was played in 2 halves. So I think they're trying to get an edge where they can, but the best team for the last 3 or 4 years has clearly been the Tigers. Clearly. And I mean, they deserved their flag last night. I've come away, the better team won. So
that's the thing, isn't it? We all have our passion, and you wear your red and black heart, or your yellow and black heart, or your blue and white heart, or as this case, his red and blue heart, and that's good and well. But at the end of the day, the best horse tends to win the Melbourne Cup. The best football team tends to win the premiership.
The Tigers are coached very well, Glenn.
Yeah.
The Tigers are coached and run very, very well, and they seem very process. Each player has got a job to do, and they seem to concentrate on that. I don't think Hardwick would let a commentary even come into it. They're so well coached.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think if you look at the 18 sides that played in the competition this year, and each side had their moments at various stages during the year, a little bit of stuff on field, off field. The sides that got together and sucked it up and did what they needed to do were the sides that, one, tended to win more games and then made the 8. So you spoke before, Eddie, about Collingwood. Once they sucked it up and got together, once West Coast stopped complaining, they started winning games. Whereas you look at Richmond and Geelong, Richmond had some off-field stuff. It was dealt with. They kept finding a way to win games.
Yeah.
So it became, we love the game and we all love to win. And I know it's cliche, but you talk about a culture. That it's not just, and as much as a lot of people say Richmond only had 22 players take the field last night, I like the way that Josh came out with his number on his back. I thought that was fantastic. It was great to see even the Gary Ablett, the wives and kids come out. I think that's fantastic. That makes it real. That makes it, for people like us who have got families and whatever, that makes it, they're not up there and, oh, look at those footballs. They're on a night. I thought that was lovely to see. Because that's what it should be.
Yeah,
that's what a good culture.
And they say it takes a club to win a flag, and I think that the Tigers prove that all too well. It takes an entire club.
Yep.
Everybody from the coaches to the trainers, to the staff, to absolutely everybody.
I also think it takes persistence because it's interesting to listen to what Brendan Gale said in, I think it was 2010, and his vision for Richmond, and it's now come true. But even that, I heard him on one of the channels this morning saying he didn't think that he would end up with the last couple of years being premiership years. We're in the finals for 3 years in a row. In, I can't even remember, 2013, 14, 15.
14, 15.
And we lost all those games. So I think it's persistence. And you just got to keep pushing.
In 2016, at the end of the year, they were calling for Hardwick's blood.
Yeah. And I believe it. I think it comes down to the way you operate internally, and I think that it is interesting to see this because I think football has become a business organisation where you do have to believe in the people you put in the job, and I think that there is no doubts that Hardwick was the right person for the job. What I like about Hardwick, he's the nice guy, but he's also tough. You just have to look at him as a player, and he was tough. Yeah, he was tough. Yeah. And even when a few weeks back, when Lynch was going through what he did, which was silly, Hardwick didn't really blink at that. He's just gone get in there, get tough. Do you know what I mean? And it's that combination. I think. I think it's the combination of also someone like Dustin Martin. He's a very smart person, but he's very tough as well. He's brutally tough, but he's also has intelligence about his football as well.
Yep. So speaking of talent, there's no doubt this guy had it in spades. The question is, who gets the first bronze statue? Is it the great man just there, or does Dusty get it? Who do they get the first bronze statue at Punt Road Oval for? I think
Neil Baum's not far behind him.
Absolutely, there's a few, isn't there? There is a few, but what a great effort! And I know at the end of the day, it's not a promise, but he's put a pitch to the members and he's put a pitch to the players and the whole organisation 10 years ago. And I honestly think everyone took it as that's something really big to aim at. And I thought that was fantastic to see. As a Melbourne supporter, I've had a gutful of the next 5-year plan that we're up for next. And we get to 3 years into the plan and start a new one. We never finished the 5-year deal. So, I think it's been absolutely unbelievable what he's been able to achieve. And it's not just him. He's put the right people in the right seats, no doubt. And he's also had belief in the stability of having Hardwick there. There was no doubt his head was on the block at certain points during that. But Richmond obviously had that period there where they were changing coaches, like their underwear at one stage. It was crazy. And it was the first place to guarantee that you were going to get sacked.
I actually think of in the late 90s, I think it was 97, a person that works for me now and I've been friends with for over 20 years. Her uncle is Stan Alves. And I just remember when he took the Saints to the grand final against Adelaide, and the following year he got sacked. Going, what is going on here? And he got replaced by Tim Watson, who, as great a player as Tim Watson is, he was not much of a coach in terms of where he was going. I think that sometimes you've got to stick to the plan and see where it goes. I can see that at the end of a grand final, because it's really 4 quarters. At the end of the grand final, it's the season on the line. You have to start again. And you could see it in Chris Scott's press conference. It was just start again phase. But that's where the strength will lie. I think that Geelong will be they'll learn from this loss massively, I think. I also think that Brisbane and Port are coming big time too.
And I think St Kilda, guys, I think that you need to keep an eye on St Kilda. I think that they're coached very, very well, and he's got those boys are bonded, and they're playing for him. And a bit like at the Tigers, he seems to be becoming a bit of a father to a lot of those guys.
Look at the top 5 teams this year, and just listening then, now that I lost you all for a little while there, but top 5 teams this year. You spoke this then, Justice, a bit about father figure, teacher. We spoke about culture. Look at the way the Tigers play for Hardwick. Look at the way Scott speaks about, you hear them say, my boys often. Look at the way Port Adelaide speak about Ken Hinkley and vice versa.
All defenders as coaches. All three of those guys were tough guys that played in a back line.
Yep. And the other one, Fagan at Brisbane, the way the players talk about him, even as much as a lot of people have disdain for Collingwood, even the way the Collingwood players speak about Buckley and vice versa. That's the thing. You get that. We want to go to war for this man. He is not only a friend, he's my coach, he's a mentor. And then with this year, and we know this year is a different year, but even listening to the players speak, Vlosten went down, Ablett went down, players from both sides, they forgot where they were, and they both, hang on a minute, someone's could be seriously hurt here. Just that little thing to check in, which I thought at times it's good to see the human side of footy still there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know there's a big duty of care around all those players now. So in respect to checking in, we've got someone else to check in right now. The 19th man, mate, is coming on board. Lovey, how are you, mate?
Gentlemen, how are we? Just come off the course for the first time in a it feels like it's been about 2 years. It's given the non-announcements this morning as well. I think I posted on Facebook before. I treat golf like gold now. It's the little things that we're all appreciating right now.
Yeah, well, just on that, mate, I reckon that's the best news ever. We had another good mate of ours, Billy, Billy Hewitt, who's off, couldn't make the show today because he's teeing off as well. So it's fantastic to see a couple of boys get out there and play a bit of golf. Sadly, Dan's put the padlock back on again temporarily. Disappointing to see, and especially after all the Richmond supporters behaved themselves last night and didn't tear up Swan Street. So it was good to see. And everyone did the right thing except Dan, to be honest, because he's just got to let us out, doesn't he? Surely. There's more cases in New South Wales at the moment.
I'm on board with the Richmond supporters in Swan Street. Swan Street's needed a rehabilitation program for quite some time, and looks like Richmond are trying to do that over the next 3 years. They're 2 years into it. They've got to rip down a little bit more from last night. I reckon next year, if they win it, the rebuild's done. Swan Street will look $1 million once they've finished their premiership reign in about 2 years, I'd say.
Now, Alan, I know obviously you've met Aaron and I. Eddie, you met the other night.
Yep.
Justin, unfortunately, very proud is a Geelong person. Alan and I have got a bit of history. Justin, we coached a bit of footy together. Can we just tell us, Alan, your golf score, mate? How'd that go?
Score?
Yeah, what was your...
42 today. Pretty rough. Pretty average. 42 for 9. So I'd rather talk about football.
42 for 18.
I'd rather talk about footy, to be honest.
I thought
let's keep it topical, shall we?
Now, we had a bit of a chat about and we've seen a bit of vision from the first and second quarter.
Yeah, so have I.
Where do you think, from as an impartial person, what was the big swings and roundabouts in the game?
Oh, Dusty's 2 goals before half time. The one near the end of the quarter time that kept them in it, and one at half time that kept them in it. You can't keep a champion down. And it's what happens when you don't know how to play red time properly. And as good as Geelong were, every single quarter last night, red time was an issue for them. And I know that you could probably call it junk time the last quarter, but for me, when you've only got 16-minute quarters, it's really surprising that I saw Geelong just let the pedal off a little bit, particularly in that first quarter and second quarter. The turning points for me are actually in the third, and when I saw Noah Bolter go into the ruck, and that change occurred, and then I look across the ground and I see that Scotty's done absolutely nothing with his team. I've gone if the Bolter thing comes off, there could be a bit of trouble here because he gets around the ground just as good as Stanley, if not better. And lo and behold, that's what happened. And I think Geelong's midfield still were sticking in as much as what Richmond's were, but Richmond were just a little bit more cleaner with the football, I noticed, in the third quarter too. They started putting pressure on Geelong's on-ballers and also the guy with the football. The intensity lifted, and Geelong couldn't go with it in the third quarter, and I think that was the main difference. I think Geelong piled on the pressure, but didn't do it for long enough in that second quarter. Third quarter.
Do you reckon, Justin? Do you agree with that? As a Geelong sort of person, sort of?
They're playing the Kings of the Jungle. They're a good side, so it's. I don't know. I came away from the game. Thinking the only thing they could have done was maybe put Danger in the midfield earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate,
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but I'm not even upset. Like, I think that the best team came out on top. I think that they earned their flag and they deserved it, and they were better for longer. And if you have a look at the guys that kicked your score, our players that played on them played well. So if you look at the preliminary final last year, I think Geelong were 42 points up, and I came away from that game going, the best side won. They were just absolutely awesome. And I mean, in that third quarter last night, the Tigers were just quick. They were fast. They were stronger.
I think
I think
it's interesting. it's interesting you talk about it like that, and I probably agree because you're only 2 points down three-quarter time anyway. So it's not like you were blown away and you were 4 goals down. You were 2 points down three-quarter time.
I think there was 6 minutes to go, and the difference was about 15 points. Martin's picked up the Norm Smith, and the guy that played on him played a superb game. If you go back and have a look at his 4 goals, he did bloody well to score those 4 goals.
He did well. I think, but if you look at where he ended up getting them and where his starting position was a lot of the time, he got himself away from Kolodjasny. Kolodjasny's a deep defender. So what Dusty did, he got himself up the ground a bit more. And then Geelong, I don't think Geelong actually got a great matchup for him when he was up around near the 50, near the centre square. Down deep, Kolodjasny played him a treat, not a problem. But when he goes high, when Dusty goes high, and that's the difference between him and Dangerfield. Dangerfield stays deep, whereas Dusty's almost a 5th or 6th midfielder anyway, gets his football and then just cuts you apart from the 50 to 40 metre line. He got 1 goal deep, but if you look at the way he ran onto those contests, the other classes were probably 25 out. All the rest of it, he plays high half forward. There's no matchup for him from any of those really decent teams that are left in the comp. That's why he's such a star. He gets his goals on opponents that can't match up on him when he's high up. When he's deep, not a problem. High up, you're cooked.
He's the only guy in 150 years that's ever won 3 Norm Smiths. So I just think that you've got to give him a bit of credit. So he's a phenomenal player. He's a phenomenal player.
Absolutely. Yep. We'll talk about Dusty a little bit more in a second, but just while I've been in the background pulling up quarter 3 that had a bit of an issue. Go, Eddie.
Okay. No, I was going to say that okay.
No, go with it. Go with it, mate. Sorry, I know the audio's a little bit choppy. Eddie?
Sorry. Yep. I think there's a bit of a delay. I think even Scott was saying it's pretty hard to plan on Dusty. Like, as much planning as you need. Like, I think that's where Port went wrong. Like, I think that Dusty finds a way. Like, and I think that it's very hard to keep up with him. Like, as a person that watches every single Richmond game, like, he's always there for the pounce. The one thing that I've seen as Richmond come off the ground every single game this year is that Dusty is so disappointed when we lose and so happy when we actually win. He's the happiest. Like, if you have a look at him going through the training rooms and they're about to sing the song, he is the happiest, which is it says something about his mindset as well.
See, I don't think he played any better than, say, if you even have a look at Edwards' game last night. I think, he was fantastic too. But
it was good.
A Dusty gets a little bit more attention because he's a Dusty.
Well, yeah, but I think that also Dusty found that he found the nooks to get out. Like Geelong played well on him, but like he just found something. Like, you can't plan for that. Like, no matter how much you plan for it. Like, I think that's the chaos of what Richmond do.
He kicked a goal from the boundary line over his shoulder. He kicked a goal from about 55 out. That was a dribble kick. He kicked a goal from at the top of a pack that he just slammed it onto his boot, and his guy was right next to him. If you go back and have a look at his 4 goals, he was absolutely brilliant in every single goal he scored.
Yep. Someone said it was almost goals of the day, every single one of them. I think that last goal was incredible. Like, I actually think that last goal was goal of the year.
All right, well, let's cross through a bit of footage from quarter 3. Hang on a second.
He was held by Henderson, and he was. So it's just a 20-metre kick here, basically directly in front, right behind him, no problems. What a start for the Tigers. 26 plays 35.
Suddenly the Cats a little unravelled here. It's all Tigers and Castagna. So just a little bit better than 50-50 this season from the set shot. He's a long, long way out. Has he got it home? He has. Here they come.
Selwood head over the footy, as we know that he always does. Duncan, who was probably best on ground in the first half, if you're keeping a tabs on Norm Smith's potentials. Here's Hawkins to Ablett. Let go a ripper. Got it to Dalhouse. He gives it off here to Myers. Myers from 35 with a slider. Got it. Cats on the rebound. Cats against all odds. Cats have been able to steady.
And Castagna fumbled the lines, but they might get a second crack. He gets a second crack and can't work it. And then Buse. Oh, great mark by Bolton. Flying into the end.
And he plays on immediately. Went for the inside ball. Found it. Lambert's got it. It was risky. Needs a bit of luck. Parfitt couldn't control it. Hooley went in. 3-on-1 it was for the Tigers. Short was able to back up. Send the ball to half forward. High ball bolted there. Rewald tries to knock it forward. Rioli had a cracker as well. Spills to Martin. Little right foot slider along the ground. He's got another one. Martin's kicked another one. It's his second of the game. And he puts the Tigers in front.
Defensive kick down that line. Oh, brilliant mark over the back by Guthrie. We don't see him get that high all that often. Little Master picks himself up in pain.
I'm not sure how long he can go on, Gary. He's going to have to go and get another fix. He would have had a dose at half time, and he's hurt it again in this fall here as well. It was a gentle one.
Him with a clever kick in the end of Revolt. Got it out wide to Graham, belting the ball back. Castagna, Lambert onto it. Beautiful gift to Graham. Oh, that is telling.
Can't get out. The Cats building the pressure.
And plays on quickly, Bolton, and then straightens up with a magnificent kick.
Time is ticking away. Down to 8 minutes now. High footy to centre half. Kolodjasny the swatting ball. Lambert found Martin. Broke the tackle. Got a skidder. Martin. Can it be 3? It is. Dusty's kicked 3.
I'll go first as a defensive coach. If I'm the Geelong defensive coach, I know Matty Scarlett. I don't know him personally, but I know what a great player he was. I'd be asking Harry Taylor and his mates they've got in the third quarter, kill it. Menengola, the two big things. Menengola, you might have thought you touched it, but till the umpire says you've touched a mark, don't stand there complaining about it. That they were, to me, two big turning points. When the ball bubbled around, and then the one in the first goal of the last quarter, always told as a player, and I now try to say as a coach, don't watch the ball, watch your player.
I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in. My phone's about to die. I don't even know why. Just real quick.
I think mine is too.
But that third quarter for me, what stood out from that was the lack of intellect from the Geelong players. There's a run on. Now the coach can only do so much to a certain degree. Yes, the coach. I don't think Chris Scott made any positional changes at all that should have that stunted Richmond's start. For one reason or another, I don't know why Dangerfield wasn't up in the midfield at the start of the third quarter. I don't know why he didn't play predominantly in the midfield. You win your football games in the third quarter. You have your best players available around the ball. The fact that he sat so deep for so long in that third quarter and just had to watch this all unfold. Now, either the coach makes that change, or you, Patrick Dangerfield, take the game by the scruff of the neck like your counterpart in the number 4 at Richmond, and you go up there and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get stuck into this. He didn't do it. He didn't lead. There weren't enough leaders for Geelong in that middle period of that third quarter to really stunt this and get it back on board. That, for me, was what stuck out. Yes, you can talk about the run on and all the rest of it. For me, no one for Geelong stood up in that third quarter. That was the most telling thing for me. They dug deep perhaps in the last 5 minutes of that third quarter to keep it to a goal. But the damage had been done. Psychologically, Richmond were on the hop, they were on the move, and it was going to be extremely hard for Richmond to do, for Geelong to reverse that mentally. Don't worry about the physical aspect of it. Mentally, I stepped into that three-quarter time. I went to the three-quarter time break and I went, Geelong are going to have to find something, but who? My biggest question was, who from Geelong is going to step up and do what Dusty's done? And if they don't get Danger to do that, well, then who else is it going to be? There's no one else that's as dynamic in that Geelong team than what Danger is. And that third quarter, I just think he could have been brought up into the game a lot more. Sorry, boys. I actually do have to head off. But
Thanks,
I will try and get on the laptop if you're not already done. I'll speak to you later on. Thanks for that, guys.
No worries.
Cheers, Aaron.
Appreciate it.
See you later.
What do you
Just
is that
on Lovey,
what do you think of that, Justin? I know we spoke before Lovey came on.
Oh, gee, as a Geelong supporter, you're disappointed because they were so close. But so I'm a supporter that just enjoys going out of the game, right?
Yeah.
If you win, lose or draw, the phone goes off, and it's the only time of the week that the phone doesn't ring mad. So I just enjoy being there. It's tribal. I don't get carried away. I think that Martin was the difference in the side.
Yeah, and Lovey.
I don't think it was
Lovey
anything
coaches.
else. I don't think anybody got out coached, because with Danger playing forward, got us to 22 points up. 20 minutes into the quarter prior. So the Tigers only kicked 12 goals after the game. If you had said to me at the start of the game that you'd keep them to 12 goals, you'd go, well, are you a chance? So I think that I have a look at the guys in you had Guthrie, Menegola and Duncan, all played well in the middle of the ground. I thought our backline played well, and I thought our forwards played well. So, yeah, you can't begrudge the best side are coming out on top.
Yeah, I think the margin was a lot closer, to be honest. I don't think the Tigers blew them away at all. I just think they got their 3 or 4 extra goals in that last couple of minutes in certain quarters, and realistically, that was the difference. It was a super hard game, and no doubt you talk about the tribe. Eddie, we covered this off before, but how good does that look? Honestly, it's great to see. Kids of all ages, adults of all ages, it's super to see. And potentially, you put this up this morning on your Instagram, mate, and I loved it, and I sent it to you, or when you sent it to me last night. Dynasty was definitely it, and I think that could be the next T-shirt. So, getting into work, mate. It's been fantastic to talk to you, Eddie. And thanks for sending this image through today. That's all we've got to go on, guys. We've got to suck this up for another year now. Listening to Richmond supporters tell us how good they are. And no doubt, 2020 was their year. Maybe we should leave them up at the Gabba for a bit longer. But as soon as they open the gates, I look forward to having a beer with a lot of Richmond supporters down in Richmond, the Corner Hotel, Richmond Hotel. There's so many down Richmond. The Swan's going to cop a hiding once it finally gets open. So it's just great to be involved in footy as a fan. Footy's definitely a game that unites so many people, and we love it. And Eddie, there has to be a winner, and you and your club were worthy winners, definitely, on the weekend. Just gone.
Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly right. As it was played yesterday, the best side on the day won. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
I saw Brendan Gale post this morning that Richmond won in 1920. So it's 100 years since our first premiership.
Yeah, right. I suppose one question for you, Eddie, are you going to continue this tradition? Because this is about to go down in Richmond. It's going to be very interesting to see Mick Malloy with the KB haircut.
Because looking at your hair there, Eddie, you've got a bit of the Eddie. You could have a bit of just down the middle, just straight down the middle.
I feel like in years to come, I could do a Bruce Dool,
Absolutely.
That's about it.
Well, fair to say, pre-game, I took a little bit of the Gary Ablett.
Ablett.
Got that going early to get on board after our last chat with the little master, good friend of yours, Shieldsy, Eddie. Yeah. So it was great to have him on as well. He'll be licking his wounds, no doubt. But I know they put up a good effort, the Cats, and I really appreciate Juzzy's time as well to come on and have a chat about what a great superstar
mate.
Gary is.
I appreciate the invite.
It's an incredible record, no doubt. 357 games, 445 goals, 8 All-Australians, 5 AFLPA MVP, 2 Brownlows. It's you can talk about Gary forever on how good this kid was. was and is. And to be honest, he could have gone around again, in my opinion. It's just whether the Cats could drag him through another one. But it's sad that he won't end up with a final premiership on that end, to tick that final box for him coming back home. But look, it's not all fairy tales, is it? As we discussed,
Mate, he's pulled the pin. He's pulled the pin because of his son. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And to be honest, that was an absolute beautiful moment after the game too, to see
What a great picture
to see him go
Yeah.
over and do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I half got emotional after the game. It is so many of those moments I noticed in photos after the game, and to be honest, this was an absolute super special one that I saw. One of Trent Cotchin's little girls, and so close to Dusty, and Dusty's so close to that family. And I think Richmond in general, like most AFL clubs, are all close. And you hear about that a lot, but you hear about a lot at Richmond. The hotline's ringing, Juzzy. That might be the next.
Hang on, are you in trouble?
Little plug for
we're all
Henley.
good.
Good afternoon, Justin from Henley. How are you?
Was that your bookie about your payout figure?
Oh God!
Maybe they are trying
I
to
should
get
have
you
taken
that.
the cash out.
So
Well, I had to laugh, as Aaron knows, talking about having an investment on the footy yesterday. Horses is my, for want of a better word, expertise. But I took a little multi yesterday. So I thought, the little master's got to kick a goal, doesn't he? He's got to kick a goal. I'm going to go out. He'll kick a goal in the first half. So the game starts. We all know what happened. I went, well, there. Well, that's that part of the multi gone. And I thought,
that's the end of your tipping career for now.
Exactly
Let's just
right.
send off to spend 2 seconds on the little master. I think this was a fantastic tribute. As we know, players are very good doing this. But I noticed that Jack Rewalt was the one that went over and approached Selwood straight as the game finished and said, "Look, we want to do it. What can we do?" Was basically what I read from that, and we want to line up. So it was the longest lineup in history because everyone was out there for quite some time. But it was so good to see the Cats guys, both Cats and Richmond, when Richmond rightfully had everything to celebrate at the time. But to be there to send off Gary and him walk away as a wounded warrior, there's no doubt he gave it absolutely everything he could to try and drag his team home. And look, that little section that we'll just cover off quickly now, just before we finish up, was the famous moment, which we covered off in during that, was that little handball, that little give I think it was the third quarter, which he was injured, but that beautiful little handball was just incredible, classic Gary. So let's just switch to the fourth quarter for a second on a couple of highlights.
And they deserve it. Selwood going high, Menegola, wonderful mark.
He's knocked Simpson out. Oh, yeah. This is not good.
Stand back, guys.
Yeah, and when he hit the ground. Menegola was brave, wasn't he? But Simpson there, the collateral damage. So Menengola's going to go through his normal process here as the crowd watch on, and thanks to Queensland for supporting our game. As Simpson leaves and the neck brace, often precautionary that. There's the kick. Let's ride it home with him. He plays on. It's on target. Has it got the length it has? It's there. It's a goal. It's a stinger for the Cats. Against this gun Richmond side. Little handball to Baker. Baker squirts it out to Rewalt. That's a good mark under fierce pressure. And there's the intended target. It's a difficult chance, and he's got that on line. Gee, that's good. Yep. Gee, that was just superb off the boot. Rewalt salutes, and the Tigers.
He's going to be a triple premiership player as a youngster. So long ball by McIntosh to full forward. Stanley couldn't quite stick it. Martin to put pressure. Still with Martin. Can he kick a fourth?
No.
Oh, he has. So the last time we see the little master. So in a season like no other, as I said, Brian, the champions have been able to do what only the toughest and strongest could do in 2020. The Tigers again.
Well, we had to play it in the end. But what a great theme song! Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it. Love or hate Richmond, no one sings it more passionate than the Tigers supporters and players for that matter. And what I loved about the game in the end was we touched on it before. Eddie mentioned it that Dusty was one that made sure every single person that was part of that hub environment that got into the rooms was in there and part of that last song and that circle. And he was trying to drag blokes off the ground to get in and sing the song for starters because as we know, Dusty is a pretty private person and really likes being close to just the people in his inner sanctum. He's obviously got a lot better with media over time and such a worthy winner, but it was so good to see the absolute passion. Just disappointing that we couldn't have 100,000 all singing that same song. So, Eddie, you've probably got next year to look forward to, mate, and hopefully you get to do it. And maybe it could be a rematch for Juzzy. So, be good to be at the MCG together, all four of us to get a ticket. But I know
I look forward to meeting you guys in person.
Oh, I'm
Absolutely.
the same. Like, having a beer and talking footy stuff and talking life stuff would be very enjoyable.
Absolutely, and I'd like to do this once we get out of this big lockup. I'd like to try and put this together in a couple of rooms somewhere and have a little bit of a roundtable chat about life and footy. And there's so much more to talk about. We're taking the opportunity to talk footy at the moment, but there's so many avenues and strengths that different people have got, and it's good to put so many people together to just chat about life and in this particular instance football. But Eddie, next time I see you, I hope to see you with the KB being put on.
I've got a bit of reading to do,
You have got a bit of reading to do. I think one really interesting thing I saw in the paper today was reviewing the two teams, and how they rate each player. And then normally the opposition team cops a bath. But I think there's one player that's below a 5.
Oh, right.
And I think that's a really testament to the game, to be honest. A 30 point margin in the end, no big deal. But actually, there isn't actually one below 5, which is incredible.
Yeah, you're right.
I really think that's a first from what I remember, because I always, everyone cringes to see that kind of response the next day. How's the paper's going to review these teams? But
that's true.
I think it was a really close game, to be honest, and a
Brilliant
lot more.
player.
I'm not surprised to hear that, AC.
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah.
Well, the
negativity
lowest
nothing.
player actually is actually the one we rated so highly, Kolodjasny, with a 5, and Jed Buse at 5
And Gary
as well.
Rowan.
Yeah, Gary Rowan. I thought Gary Rowan was okay, personally. Look, Dangerfield's sitting at 5.5. So let me just check on who these four people are that reviewed it.
Nick Boston wouldn't have got many votes.
These 5.
Yeah, because fair to say these 5 that have reviewed them maybe aren't on their game as such, because some of these players were better than that, in my opinion. Yeah, look, Boston, they've given him an NA, and I think they probably should have.
NA.
That's the right answer.
He absolutely started the game. I thought well, but geez, I reckon Richmond really missed him early, because they really had to shake it up. And we talked about the chaos game that Richmond play. So it actually probably worked to their favour, because there was a real upset in amongst the start of the game, real upset at the end when the momentum could have shifted in that last quarter with another sad KO. And hopefully those two players are up and about. We did see that both players were up and moving again, which was so good to see, because it was such a hard game. But any last words, Glenn, before we go to the spoils and the consoling?
Again, as you and I said, we started this 9 episodes ago. I come away from every time, I feel like I've got 2 new blokes I'm looking forward to having a beer with and just talking about everything. Obviously, footy's a big part of my life. But look, congratulations to Eddie and the Tigers. Commiseration to Justin and the Cats. But the beautiful thing about footy, Eddie will be back again next year. All I want now is to see the Melbourne Storm get up and have a win tonight from the Melbourne perspective. But, yeah, look, all good. All good.
Justin, we'll give you second last word.
Just great to come on the podcast, mate. I've appreciated it. I've enjoyed the year. So I just think the best team has scored the flag, and hopefully next year, by the time round one starts, we can get to a game in person. This is the first year in the last 20 years that I haven't been to a game.
Yeah, it all feels a bit different, doesn't it? Feels a bit
we
different
still
for
paid
most
for our
supporters.
seats, paid for all the memberships. So I can't wait to get back to a ground.
Yeah.
So.
Look, I know Richmond. We had Pat Cronin's dad on the other day. Sadly, we lost Pat to a coward punch, and we need to make sure that we eliminate that. So to have Pat, he would have been sitting there definitely at the game somewhere in a spirit, bringing home his Tigers, and would have been such a special moment for Matt. And I know Matt's been riding around Richmond today, which is fantastic to see. So he's embraced the Tigers, no doubt. And we had an emotional day or night the other night when we were talking through that scenario. For Matt and his family to still buy a membership for Pat as part of an honour to him and tribute to him, I think is absolutely fantastic, including a grand final seat normally. So we're as a podcast, we're going ahead with the So What's Been Happening group, which is going to go up as a walk, a charity walk that they're doing. Walk Anywhere is the title for this year. We'll be able to walk anywhere. We're going to do that, and our process is to try and walk. We'll walk to the city. I wouldn't even mind stepping that up and walking to the G, and it'd be good to cut a lap of the G on the way home before we get the train. So that's about 25 odd k's from our house. So it's a bit of a challenge, no doubt, but we're going to combine the k's together, and the plan is to try and cut a lap of Australia, which was the plan for the Patrick Cronin Foundation. So I'd like to just give a quick shout out to them. Congratulations to Matt and the Mighty Tigers. It's been a long time since they've pulled it off. Also to Lisa Wright, that we had on the show the other day, who's the daughter-in-law of the famous Roy Wright, superstar Tiger back in the day, dual Brownlow medalist. So fantastic to see that. And another thing that great to see was the beer swiggler, Ash Barty, who was having a beer at the footy not long ago, being able to present the cup. Well, I think that was fantastic honour for her. And there'd be so many people to be desperate to do that for their club. So anything else, guys? Or look, obviously, Juzzy, we love our Melbourne Storm. Glenn, you probably haven't been a huge rugby fan that I believe over time, but you're warming to the game.
Look, I am, as I said to you a couple of times, I'm an old De La Salle boy, Justin, as you can see, my jumper back on the top right corner there. So I've known Brian Waldron very well, and obviously he was a bit of a trailblazer back in the day when the Storm first made their mark on the NRL. So, and the respect, we talk about Dusty as a legend and Gary Ablett Jr. as a legend. Well, Cameron Smith and Craig Bellamy, what they've done, not only for the game of rugby league, but for the sport in general, and as ambassadors, is amazing. So look, I total respect for them, and look, putting on my total Melbourne hat, let's stick it up New South Wales again in some way, shape, or form by winning that today or tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Juzzy, your thoughts on the game? What do you think?
Both teams are playing really well. Storm are really, really quick. And great opportunity to send Cameron Smith out the way he deserves to be. What is he now? He's a 4-time premiership player now. If you include 2007 and 2009. So he's definitely got a chance today to go down in the all-time, probably close to the all-time greatest player as a 5-time premiership player.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on Cameron Smith? Well, let's not jinx us, but we have to talk about it. If we don't happen to win tonight, does Cameron Smith play on? And my opinion is that it's not at Melbourne. If he does play on, what are your thoughts, Juzzy?
Not worth the year, mate. He's best to go out as a one club player. I totally agree with that. Probably Cooper Cronk could argue differently. And to go away with the premiership the way he did with the Roosters, that's not a bad way to go out either. So
I think he should, and I also think Bellamy should. Bellamy's been incredible for the Melbourne Storm, no doubt, and he's in a long list of incredible coaches. I know Steve Kearney's coming back, which is absolutely super to be able to potentially hand the reins to him in a year's time. So let's see how that pans out. But it was interesting to see, just quickly before we wrap up, that one picture of Cameron Smith chairlifted off the other day like this. It was really interesting to see and sent such mixed messages on what was actually going to happen there. So, look, I can't wait for the game tonight. To be honest, I'm super nervous. The Panthers are quick. And look, they got Cleary in amongst others, and also well coached by his dad. It's going to be a real battle. And I think the best two teams, once again, like we talked about with the AFL, definitely the best two teams have got there for the NRL. So I cannot wait for tonight to get going.
My gut tells me, and I don't know why, but my gut tells me he's going to play a year elsewhere next year.
That's what I would.
Yeah. So my rumours that are hearing, and I'm hearing a lot more of it recently, is that Cam Smith plays in Queensland. And he plays at the Broncos. So I'd love to. Honestly, I've always been a bit of a Broncos fan, being obviously very close to the state of origin as well. And before we had a team, I used to follow the Broncos and Parramatta. Typically, like a Melbourne Demon supporter, you got to have a second team. So Parramatta were good, but not that good during their glory period. So Brisbane were always a powerhouse, and the Storm's been lucky enough to have some good players go up and play in Brisbane. So I think Bellamy actually goes to Storm as well. I don't think he head coaches. So, sorry, Brisbane. I think he goes to Brisbane as well. He won't go there as head coach. That's been done and signed, but he goes there as an advisory effectively. And I think I heard a rumour it's a fair long-term deal too. So it gives him a lot of security, like a 5x5 kind of scenario. So that'll be really interesting if Bellamy's there. Cam Smith goes there and plays for a year. I don't think necessarily Cameron Smith will come and coach later, but he may assistant coach, and he'd be fantastic in the media. But he's a quietish kind of guy, Cam. So I think he might like to step away from the game for a little while.
Do you think it's a bit of a package deal? And I'm not saying it's, but there's not much more from a individual and team that Bellamy and Smith need to achieve. But obviously they have great respect for each other. I'm only going from what the media said. When you look back to the trio, Billy Slater, Smith, Cooper Cronk, there seems to be a bit of bad blood between those three, like two of the three, when Cooper Cronk went where he went. Do you think, I hope it doesn't end up that way, but my little bit of knowledge and little whispers I've heard that it's basically signed, sealed, delivered, that Smith will go there for at least a year and Bellamy will be there as a director of coaching for at least 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, look, as you know, Juzzy, I feel a bit, I never really liked Cooper Cronk being at Sydney and all those things. And I just saw, obviously we saw JT go out of the game just as a superstar. Inglis was never the same once he left Melbourne. We've just had so many superstars leave Melbourne Storm and become unbelievable players somewhere else. But also on the reverse, we've had so many club castaways or rejects thrown into the pile that we've made into super players again. So yeah, it's interesting. The NRL's definitely got a different model of how they do it and how they trade players and mid-season trades and all sorts of things. And it's an interesting one to talk about for another day. And I look forward to being able to have a chat with there. But Glenn, I know you're a mad punter, mate. Well, used to be a mad punter. Now you're just now you just like to throw. Now you're a bad punter. Yeah. Just quickly touch on your thoughts here from yesterday, Glenn Boss.
Oh, look, as you both see, my name is Glenn. Look, you've got to give the man credit. He has been now, you talk about Dusty from a footy perspective, Glenn Boss, by good luck, good management, whatever it is, but I think it's more good skill, he seems to get associated with all the good horses. Same with Hugh Bowman. They get on them for a reason.
Yep.
Now, they're saying it. Look, the interesting thing about yesterday, Moonee Valley, is it's a very unique race course. It's a boutique race course. So there is horses that will go to Moonee Valley and love it. Then they'll go to Caulfield or Flemington, and they either lose 6 lengths or they gain 6 lengths. So that's it. So look, it'll be very interesting. I think, again, as you said about the footy, Justin, I think not necessarily the best horse won yesterday, but they don't put horses on a plane from England and bring them all the way on a 14-hour flight or whatever down to Australia if they don't think they've got no chance. So, look, I'm not a favourite backer. So, unless it's a horse like Winx or Black Caviar. So, the biggest thing to say. So, we go around next week. We've got the Derby, which is one of the greatest days in Australian racing. But, again, a bit like the footy yesterday and today, it's on the TV, but without people, you don't see people walking down the street all dressed up in their finery about to head off to the races. That's the side effect of COVID. So,
well, let's be honest, there was about to be until they pulled the pin on that 500 people. So thank God they did, mate, because that could have got a little bit messy as well.
It shows you how much sport means to Victorians / Australians, doesn't it? When the latest comes up with their headline thing is 500 people can't go to the Cox Plate. Let's don't worry about the people who are dying. let's talk about the 500 people. So, what about you, Justin? Are you a horse racing fan as well?
Yeah, mate. I own a couple of horses. We had some horses
Beautiful.
with Weary, and we won the had a horse that won the Warrnambool Cup and the Werribee Cup.
Oh, okay. My dad had a horse. My dad had a couple of horses with DK.
Yeah. He was fantastic. I mean, I can only judge things on my experiences, but just a fantastic guy I had to deal with. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, what we will do, guys, is I think I'd like to try and rustle up a few blokes that we know and try and put this same kind of little conversation together in the next couple of days in the lead up. Potentially, if you guys are interested for the Cup, Nick, given that it'll straight after footy, straight after rugby, we've got something next to talk about, and then we start leading into cricket. So I know, Juzzy, one of your passion and loves is the great Donald Bradman and cricket. So I look forward to a few of those chats as well. So we can extend this for a little bit longer, guys. But I'd love to cut it off now for today's show and talk about racing coming up in the future. But there's one interesting thing I saw in the paper that I want to float for the future is something like this. 30 best sports photos. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of homework to go away and find a few images that are right in your wheelhouse and some stories you kind of like to tell from what was fun times for you in amongst sport. So there's some absolute rippers here posted in today's paper. So I'm not going to let's not deliver any now, Glenn, because I know you're going to probably run with one.
No, I was just going to say, are you talking that I was personally involved in, or one that I saw from a
no, not at all. From a fan point of view, you can be involved in it. So let's throw it wide open. It was either a special day to you. Let's talk about that, or also let's talk about a special pivotal moment in sport. So I think we can have a few shows on that topic. So we might include that as a little bit of a segment. I'd like to structure this, even though we've never had a structure. Maybe today's the day we start to plan for a structure. Once again, we wheeled through.
We've actually got a structure.
Through 5 guys.
Aaron's very structured. I'm not really good with IT, Justin. So that's where when Aaron says go and do homework.
Well, we'll get along well then, Glenn. I'm a bit of an IT dinosaur. As you'll see today, I've been on the mobile device.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it, Juzzy. And I look forward to having a chat about that super cinema room you've got there too. So we'll talk about that in the next episode. Hold that thought. I know we snuck a little sneak peek there as the camera moved a couple of times, but I want to hold that thought, and I want to talk about that great kid that put that together for you too, because he's a super talent. So we'll give him a bit of airtime too in the next month or so. Hopefully, be great to maybe get him on talent, and see what he's up to during this time. So
the great Daniel Burrows,
absolutely. We'll look him up for sure. So thanks again, guys. It's been super to have a chat.
No worries, mate.
Sunday afternoon.
Cheers, Glenn. Likewise, mate.
look forward to the mighty Melbourne Storm getting it done tonight. And hopefully we've got another paper tomorrow to read with more than 2 pages based on the Melbourne Storm. So it'll be great. Cheers, guys.
Right,
See you
mate.
soon.
See you, mate. Lovely.
Bye.
Ta-ra.